Hello, and welcome to another episode of This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. I just want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for your support, and I want to thank you for being with me this far. I'd like to remind everyone that I am not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a medical professional in any way, just a regular person trying to navigate life and what's going on in here. And it's, like I said before, it's coming along, but it has a long way to go. So, in this episode, I'd like to continue on with what I talked about in the last episode, the topic of us being a young family in a new house, well, a new to us house, and my experiences during this time. And I want to start off by saying that I don't mean to say that all of it was bad. It's just when it was bad, it was really bad. We had plenty of good times. We had plenty of fun vacations. We had plenty of family time that was just fun. Uh, Boys were little, and they and I, we always had fun, and we always, had a good time. It was just when things were bad, things would kind of be bad for a while. It would kind of stick around for a little bit too long, and it would get drawn out. A lot of times I was expected to be the one to apologize, even though I didn't even start the argument. But I was supposed to end it by just, submitting. And anytime I would bring it up, I mentioned this before. If I brought up how much her words hurt me, she would dismiss it, and she would act like I was overly sensitive, or I was just making it up just for attention, or just exaggerating. Or she would say, if I would tell her that I was hurt by something, she would say, "I'm sorry you feel that way," which is not an apology. "I'm sorry you feel that way" it is not an apology. It's just their way of saying, "Well, I don't really care about your feelings." It's really what it is. My feelings and emotions were never valid for some odd reason. Whenever something bothered me, or if I brought it up, it was always dismissed. It was always pushed aside. It was always brushed under the rug, swept under the rug. And even my opinions on things didn't matter. There was one time where she had the red dress and the blue dress. Which one should I wear? And I would say, I like the blue one. And then she would say, "I'm going to wear the red one." And I asked her about that because she did that to me a few times. And she just flat out told me, "I don't always trust your opinion." So basically, she would ask which one I liked so that she could wear the other one, which made no sense to me, but I guess it was part of keeping the peace, or at least trying to. She picked all our vacations, which we would go to Turkey Run every year, which I was okay with that. But after a while, we'd do that every year, and I kind of wanted to do something different. I wanted to try something different, but she wouldn't hear it. She knew where she wanted to go, and she knew where we were going, so she would control every bit of it. And she never discussed it with me. She would just book it and say, "We're going here. We're going here next year. We're going here. We're going there," without discussing it with me. With the house, later on, she picked the carpet color. She picked the paint colors. She picked the siding color. She picked the roof color, all without discussing any of it with me. We would talk about, "Oh, we need siding on the house." Next thing I know, the guys are there and they have it. And I'm like, "Oh, I guess that's our color. I didn't even get to choose." I lived in that house too, and I helped pay for that house. I should have had some kind of say, at least a little bit, in what was going on, but I wasn't allowed that. I didn't get that consideration. And my opinions just did not matter. And her parents hated me as well. I'm not trying to be harsh, but they did. They both just never had anything nice to say. They never had anything good to say. They were always kind of passive aggressive. He would always just joke about stuff. And the reason I use the quotes is because much of the time I was the butt of the joke. It was always some tongue-in-cheek kind of thing to make fun of me. And he did it all the time. She was just, her mom was just totally indifferent to me. And I could see it when her other sons-in-law would come over, and her face would light up and she would get all happy. And it was just like my mom with my brothers-in-law. She loved them like the sons that she wished she had. But I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be back with some more of This is Rico Trying to Heal My Inner Child. Hello, and welcome back to This is Rico Trying to Heal My Inner Child. Getting back to the topic of, being in a young marriage, and how things just slowly but steadily deteriorated. I just felt like nobody had anything nice to say. Every time I'd go to a family gathering with her side of the family, it was always tense for me. Always. I couldn't relax. I couldn't just I didn't have an option to not go. I could have stayed home. My dad, when he didn't go anywhere. Anytime we'd go somewhere, my mom would take us and he would stay home. But I never had that option. I had to go visit with her family all day long on a Saturday or Sunday, because she wanted us all to be there. I didn't need to be there. They didn't even want me there. They didn't want me there, but I had to be there. I didn't want to be there, and I had to be there. And I couldn't mention it. I couldn't mention it to her because she would always take their side. She would always act like I was just being mean. She would always act like I was just being malicious and just trying to say something about them or be rude. But I would tell her what he said. I would tell her what she said, and she wouldn't even consider it. No, I was the one who was overly sensitive again. And much like my childhood, here I am again in a house full of people, and I feel completely alone because nobody would listen to me. My boys were very, very young. I'm not talking about them. They're still babies at this time. They're toddlers. So of course I hold them in the highest regards. But she focused on them, and then she, loved her family and focused on them, and I was left out in the cold. And she expected me to pick up things for her and do things for her and be there for her all the time. If I went to see my parents, I had to go by myself. But I couldn't stay home if she was going out somewhere. I had to go with her. And that happened a lot. All my hard work was non-existent. I felt non-existent. Resentment was growing in me, just growing and growing every day. Every day it was like something new. And again, I'm not going to say that the entire day was filled with bad, but like every day had one or two little incidents. Something would happen. She would get upset and let me know it and tell me it was my fault. I began lashing out in anger because I could only take so much. You can only take so much before you blow up. And I found out the hard way. And I tried letting off some steam. I tried to vent, but nobody wanted to hear it. Nobody wanted to listen. So I had to hold it all in and keep it to myself. And that was only an attempt to keep the peace. I always felt like I was defending myself. I always felt like no matter what it was, I had to fight for it. I had to defend myself for existing. I had to defend myself for using utilities. I had to defend myself for wanting things. You know, I understand we got to save money. She was always pushing for retirement. We got to save for retirement. We got to save. We got to save, save, save. But you got to have fun stuff too. Otherwise, life is just going to be boring. We're going to save all our money so that when we get old, we're going to be too old to do anything fun. I don't want to do that. I went on a cruise when I was 20 years old, and I saw these people that were geriatric and on walkers. And I remember having conversations with some people, and they just said, "Oh, we saved our entire lives for this trip, and this is the first time we've gone out and done something like this." Yet the guy could barely enjoy it because he's on a walker. Why don't you get out when you're young and do these things? And that's what I wanted to do, but I just wasn't allowed. But I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be back with a little more of This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. Hello, and welcome back to This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. I'm getting back to the topic of my young marriage, our young family, and how difficult things got for me. And again, I want to reiterate that I don't think it was done maliciously just to make me upset. I think we just had personality conflicts, clashes. We didn't quite see eye to eye on certain things after a while, and it really showed, but I was always expected to make the compromise. I was always expected to make the sacrifice. I was always expected the one to just give up something if she didn't like it. If we didn't agree on something, I had to give up. And I mentioned before that I almost ended things a few times, and I tried. I tried a few different ways, and I'm not going to go into details about any of it, but I tried to end it. I just felt like I was not worthy of existing. I felt like I wasn't good enough to be here. If they don't approve and they don't approve and nobody approves, then what am I doing? Why am I here? It took me a long, long time to switch my thinking and say, I don't need their approval. I don't need anyone's approval. I need my approval. I'm the only one I need to please. The saying I like is, I can only please one person a day, and today I choose me. And that's it. I tried. I tried to end it. I never told anybody about it. But if I was ever like in a dark place and I would bring up how I wanted to do it, I was made to feel guilty or selfish. I was made to feel like, oh, you need to think of everyone else. How come nobody thinks of me? And I'm not trying to be selfish in that, but nobody thinks of me. It's always, I have to think about them. The church people did that too. You have to think about others. Other people have it worse than you. So we don't want to hear your problems because other people have it worse. I'm sorry they have it worse. It's not my fault. But at the time, I really just needed someone to talk to, and they didn't want to hear it. None of them wanted to hear it. They would have their little, prayer groups and talk about your problems, and then just pray to the Lord. For me, it doesn't work. That might work for others, and that's great and fine, but it doesn't work for me at all. Just, no matter what I was going through, it was always just someone to tell me that I didn't really matter because somebody else has got it worse. It was my dad. I brought up how he treated me as a child, and he just dismissed it right away because, oh, well, your brother got it worse. Does that make it okay? Does that make any of it okay? You don't need to hear me because you treated him worse than you treated me, or at least you thought you did. I was there. I don't believe it. I don't believe any of it. And I never told anybody about trying to end things because nobody wanted to hear any of it. Nobody wanted to hear about it. They just made me feel like I was guilty. So, getting back to going to spend lots and lots of time with her family. They never really had anything nice to say to me. They never really treated me with any kind of respect. For example, one time we went to her sister's house. Now, I never mentioned this, but her younger sister married a former friend of mine from high school. In fact, she met him through us. And it was okay in the beginning. And he and I would go out and have lunch and we would hang out once in a while and things were cool. But then he got a job at a utility place and he started making big money. And suddenly he was well above me. And he made sure I knew it. In fact, once they built their first house, but for some reason they found reasons to not like it. It was brand new. And they just picked at it and found stuff they didn't like. So they sold it and they built another house, an even bigger house, big and fancy and stupid, just to show off. And we would go there for football, and I hate football. We would go there for Super Bowl, and I hate Super Bowl. I hate sports. I hated all of it, but I had to go because I didn't have a choice. And he would ask my father-in-law, "Hey, you want a beer?" And then he would look at me and say, "Hey, you know where it is." So he'd be polite and cordial to my father-in-law, but if I wanted something, I had to go get it myself. I was less than a guest in his house. But I'm going to take a quick break, and I will be back with some more of This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. Hello, and welcome back to This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. I'd like to conclude this video with just a little bit more on the topic of us being a young family and the issues and challenges that I faced. I was mentioning how I was treated a certain way around them for whatever reason. They just didn't like me, and they made sure I knew it. They always made sure I knew it. And I didn't understand why I had to be there. Why did I have to sit here and take this from them? Why couldn't I stay home if they were just going to be mean? And again, I would tell her, your family is blah, blah, blah. And she would get mad because I would talk about her family instead of considering how I felt about any of it. She never considered how I felt about it. It was just, I was overly sensitive. If I had $1 for every time I said that, I would have retired maybe 10 years ago. But when I got upset, I was labeled a negative person. I was labeled angry for no reason. I was labeled for being different. I was called moody, and they talked a lot behind my back. Sometimes she would tell me something that her mom said, and I would just kind of wonder, like, did you defend me? Did you just let her say it and just let her talk about it and you're okay with that? She never said that I stood up for you or any of that. She would just tell me, oh, she was upset because, yeah, I was upset too. And nobody listened to me at all or considered it. Just like my parents in my childhood. If I got mad, If I got mad, it was just because I was exaggerating, or I was just wanting attention, or just making things up, or just, you know, my imagination. Or, a lot of the times they would just say, "Oh, they're just joking. Oh, they're just joking." When I told my mom that my dad was irritating me, "Oh, he's just trying to make you upset." I say, "Yeah, it's working. He's making me upset. Can't you help me?" But nah, nah. You just have to live with it. And this is what it was like with them too. You just have to live with it. They don't like you, but you have to live with it. They're going to talk crap about you, but you have to live with it. I'd never accepted anyone talking about my ex. My parents would try. There was a time when, we'd have an argument, and then I'd go talk to my parents and just want to vent. And suddenly they're getting mad and they're talking crap about her. And I would stop them every time because they had no business just attacking her, because I just wanted to talk about things that were upsetting me. But with her family, it was just like they all seemed to expect something different from me. They all expected what they wanted from me. They didn't want to accept me for who I was at all. They didn't like who I was, I guess. They never even really knew, because I never really was myself around them, because I just felt like I wasn't allowed. So I would put on a mask and try to keep the peace. And it was exposed every time. And I was always treated like I just didn't matter. They all wanted something different, but they didn't want to accept me. And I never really was free to be myself anyway. I wanted to and I tried, but it was always rejected. I never really was free to express my true self. I always had to hide it. I had to hide it. We got this big house, and I had to hide a majority of my stuff inside this big closet because she didn't want to see it. I had to put it away. I had to put my stuff away. And that was frustrating. And if they didn't like something, they let me know, and it didn't matter to them. And then much of the time, it was something I either liked or loved. They would, if they didn't like it, they didn't understand it, they had no time for it and would not even consider it. How many times I had to go watch NASCAR? I hate NASCAR, but that was what he loved. He loved it, so we had to go to his house and do it. But if I talked about something I liked, or music or whatever, he just, "Oh, I don't know anything about that," and shut it down. And that's what she did too. And that's what my parents did too. They would always shut it down. They never really wanted to relate with me at all. They wanted me to be who they wanted me to be. And that was it. So pretty much everything I loved didn't matter. And they thought it was a complete waste of time. And then it just became evident that they didn't like me, and they thought I was a waste of time. They thought I was a waste of space. I would go to their gatherings and didn't want to be there, but they would notice that and then kind of blame me for just being negative. Blame me for, being a party pooper when I didn't even want to be there. And they didn't even want me there. And that's what I didn't understand. My ex was the only one that wanted me to be there, but when we'd get there, she acted like she didn't want me there at the same time. And she would always find a way to embarrass me, whether it was like food or eating or anything. She would make sure to kind of say something in front of everyone so they would all have a laugh. And they did that so many times, and it just broke me down. And I had to keep it to myself, and I had to deal with it by myself, and to do it all by myself. And that's frustrating, and it's extremely exhausting. And I never really got to be who I am. Never. Anything I liked was just shut down. Anything. But I had to listen. I had to hear their stories. I had to hear their stuff. I had to go to their houses. I had to deal with them and their little stories and their stupid little anecdotes, their little inside jokes. A lot of times, like I said before, I was the butt of the joke, and you have to roll with the punches. You have to roll with the punches. How about you don't punch me? How about that? I would be better with that rather than rolling with the punches and just accepting it. You guys wouldn't accept me. Why do I have to accept the abuse? And it just made things more and more difficult. But I'm going to conclude this video here. Um, I have a few more episodes to go with this topic, and I have a lot more to say. But, it just wore me down and it made me lose my sense of self. I was just a servant. I was just there for everyone else, but I couldn't expect it in return. So I will be back with some more episodes of This is Rico Trying to Heal My Inner Child. I would like to thank you all from the heart of my bottom. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. Please like, share, subscribe. Share as much as you can. Tell your friends, friends, and tell people you don't even know. Share my video and let's let everybody know out there that we're not alone. And, hopefully things can get better for some of us. Hopefully. That's all I want. So I would like to thank you again, and I will be back very soon. Have a great day, and I hope you all take care. Take care of yourselves and take care of someone else.